It's been a long time since I've covered stories surrounding around fentanyl. If anyone who hasn't been around on my channel since the beginning, as far as my original channel, the original Taurean Rain channel back in 2016, when I really started to get into the groove of making videos consistently, talking about the fentanyl overdoses, or as I like to call it, the opioid plague, was what really got me my first round of followers on this platform. But then over time, other stories kicked in and I kind of put those onto the back burner because there were other stuff that needed to be talked about. And I kept saying to myself, I wonder when I'm going to talk about these stories again. And here I am talking about it again, but it's in a most unfortunate way because it involved a 13-year-old boy who you see in this picture, whose name is Dustin McConnell Jr. And this story is coming out of Cartersville, Georgia. And basically, a few months ago, he suffered and died from a fentanyl overdose. And basically, the person responsible for it was none other than his mother. Now, I'm going to put her picture up when I get done, when I get towards the end of the article. And all I'm going to have to say is this: brace yourself. So I'm going to read this article coming from 11alive.com. Dustin McConnell Jr., age 13, was a rising star athlete at Cass Middle School in Cartersville. He was a starting safety and also played a wide receiver for the Colonels. His dad, Dustin McConnell Sr., said his son loved sports, especially football. He was an outstanding young man. Football was his favorite sport, McConnell Sr. explained. On March 16th, it was like any other day for Dustin Jr. He went to school where he was a 7th grader at Cass Middle School. However, it would be his last day. Once the last school bell rang, he made it back to his home on Mission Road Southwest in Cartersville. Dustin Jr. would later be found unresponsive by his mom, Jennifer Lee Jones. He died later that afternoon of an overdose. His dad, Dustin Sr., said it shouldn't have ever happened. I hated, what I'm saying, because this was an innocent little boy who had a bright future in front of him, taken short by a careless act. On March 27th, his family, friends, teammates, and the community held a celebration of life to remember Dustin Jr., who touched so many lives. While the community continued to grieve this young life cut too short, the Bartow County Sheriff's Office was actively investigating his overdose death. Months would pass until on November 2nd, 4 warrants were signed on Dustin Jr.'s mom, Jennifer Lee Jones. She was charged with murder in the second degree, cruelty to children in the second degree, and trafficking. The murder warrant accuses Jones of the offense of being in possession of a trafficking amount of fentanyl, approximately 29 grams, which led to the death of the juvenile victim, Dustin McConnell Jr. The murder second degree warrant accuses Jones of the offense of possession approximately 29 grams of fentanyl at her household, which ultimately led to the overdose death of the mentioned juvenile victim. 11 Alive asked Dustin Sr. how he thought his son got a hold of the fentanyl. They, as in detectives, said it was like in purple form. And as a child, as a teenager, probably was like, what is this? Because he only had a little portion in his system. You know what I'm saying? And that little portion killed my son, Dustin Sr. said. It's messed up, what I'm saying, to have something that powerful in their house, knowing that can kill people. You know what I'm saying? Especially little children and innocent little children. I wonder if it sounds to me like the dad and the mother were not together. Because it does, the way that he's speaking is almost like they don't live in the same household. Jones is being held without bond. 11 Alive reached out to the Bartow County Sheriff's Office and the district attorney for additional details on the case. So he probably saw that bag, that purple substance, and thought it was candy. He probably thought that's what it was. But remember what we've talked about when it comes to fentanyl. It can just get on your skin. And that's enough. So he probably, just touched it. He probably just touched it and that's how it happened. But the curiosity was there. He probably saw something. They said it was in purple form and he probably thought maybe it was, it was probably candy. So the curiosity of him wanting to look and investigate and see what it was for himself to see maybe if it was or wasn't, that's what it ended up happening. Because I highly doubt that he would know what fentanyl is. But that mother of his, though, definitely would. And speaking of mother, that's her. Jennifer Lee Jones. This is the woman who has been charged with multiple hit with multiple charges, I should say, in the death of her son. When I saw this picture, I literally almost flew out of my damn chair because I was looking like, whoa, who is this mannish looking thing on my screen with this big ass neck tat right here that looks like a big hole in her throat? I just got to know one thing. Was the dad ski sloping when he slept with this? That's what I'd like to know. And she looks, I'm going to be honest, she looks like a dude. I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. She looks like a man. But that's besides the point. I don't want to come on here and talk, necessarily about her appearance, although it's kind of hard not to. But it's sad either way because this woman was so negligent that she left her drugs out in the open where her son could see it, and he touched it, OD'd, and died. And because of his age, it didn't take long to get through his system. I've never understood why, if parents are going to do drugs, what they shouldn't be doing anyway, are going to leave their drugs out in the open like that. Like, how irresponsible are you? But look at how long it took for them to actually charge her with something. Remember, he died back in March. They didn't hit her with anything until the beginning of this month. That's wild to me. Well, her son's death is on her hands. She has no one else to blame but herself. But what also got me, it says that one of her charges is trafficking, being in possession of trafficking fentanyl. So this means that this woman was dealing the drugs too. She was a whole drug dealer. In layman's terms, that's what she was doing. I don't know if that was her cut that was right there that she was going to use, or if I don't know if she was a user or if she just like left that out. But y'all, it's some people out here that think they parents of the year and they really not. This is an example of one on the screen that is definitely not. Now their 13-year-old son is dead because of her. Because she wanted to leave her drugs out in the open. And the crazy part about it is, if it wasn't him who got a hold of it or touched it, it could have been someone else. Because I was looking at, different pictures, like when I was looking up for a picture to use when I was talking about him, it looks to me like he has some siblings. It looked like he has some other siblings that might have been younger than him, and some siblings that might have been older than him. So he wasn't the only child in the picture. He wasn't the only child. He had siblings as well. Imagine if the younger siblings saw it and they touched it, then they would have been gone. Hell, if even it was the older siblings and touched it, they could have died too. So the dark side to this is, while he is deceased, if someone else had got a hold of it and touched it, or got in the vicinity of it, the same thing would have happened to them. So it was almost like a casualty waiting to happen, because her goofy ass wants to leave her paraphernalia out in the open like it was a damn free-for-all. I hope they lock her ass up and throw away the key. Well, as a matter of fact, lift the jail up and then put her underneath it and slam it down and put dirt, concrete, a steel wall, whatever, on top of her. I mean, look at that neck tat. She looked like she's already prison ready, or at least been in prison already.